Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Straight BS. Straight up BS. That's exactly what it is. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airways of ESPN Radio. That's 710 ESPN LA. That's 98.7 FM New York City, and of course nationwide over the airways of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Style, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Straight BS. That is the theme for today's show, because there's a couple of things that's transpiring and percolating in the world of sports that is straight BS. The first thing is what transpired last night with the Pittsburgh Steelers against the New England Patriots. We can sit up there and make the argument all day it was a touchdown, and damn it, I believe it was a touchdown. That hookup from Big Ben Roethlisberger to Jesse James was a touchdown in my estimation. But even if it wasn't a touchdown, the play is still bogus on a part of the league office with their ridiculous rules. And some dude named Al Riveron, who's the NFL senior vice president of officiating, why don't you just show up? Nobody wants to hear from you. It's ridiculous, stupid, nonsensical rule, as far as I'm concerned, cost the Pittsburgh Steelers a Super Bowl title. With Carson Wentz going down in Philadelphia and everybody else in the NFC being suspect, I believed that if the Pittsburgh Steelers won yesterday's game, they would ensure that the road to the Super Bowl comes through Heinz Field. They would win, and as a result, they would go to the Super Bowl, and they would bring a Super Bowl championship back to the Steel City. And all of that, in a span of 2 minutes, went up in smoke. Up in smoke. Just like that. And I know some people out here, because I'm here in Los Angeles for the retirement of Kobe Bryant's 2 jerseys, number 8 and number 24. I'm here in Los Angeles, California, and yes, I will be talking about that today. And I know people in Los Angeles are thinking, hold on, Stephen A., hold your horses, pump the brakes, because guess what? The Los Angeles Rams are no joke. Did you see what they did to Seattle yesterday? Up 42-0, 34-0 at halftime, just ramrodded, bum rushed, and beat down the Seattle Seahawks. I know people are looking at it that way. I get it. I totally get it. And I'll talk about the Rams as the show progresses today as well. But to me, the Pittsburgh Steelers lost the Super Bowl title yesterday. That's how I view this. That's really how I view this. And I'm ashamed of the National Football League with these stupid rules. So let me get this straight. You're a runner, and suddenly you just touch the ball. You touch the goal line. If the ball touches the goal line in any way, crossing that threshold, it's a touchdown. But if you're a wide receiver, oh no, it's not applicable. You've got some stupid survive the ground rule where if you hit the ground, you've got to maintain control. So let me get this straight. In an age of concussions, where everybody is so focused on the damn hits, nobody's paying attention to the force that your body incurs when it collides with the ground. Because unlike another human being, the ground doesn't give. Who the hell can beat the ground? And you got some strict survive the ground rule, somehow implemented by a competition committee. Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Steelers, is on, by the way. And everybody's going to sit up there and say, oh, you know what? It's the rule. Oh, stop it. Just stop it. I'm so disgusted I don't even know what to do with myself. Let us count the ways. Because as disgusted as I am, as nauseated and sick, making me want to vomit, as sick as I am, it's not just about that play. It's about everything I saw in that last 2 minutes. Let's count the ways. With me saying what I'm saying about this rule, Jesse James catches a pass from Big Roethlisberger over the middle. He stretches his arms out to catch the ball. He pulls the ball in. And as he's falling to the ground, knees already down, he extends because he's not touched by a defender. And because the ball came loose, once it touched the ground, that's an incomplete pass? That makes no sense to me. None. If you had said it wasn't a touchdown, even though I disagree, I can live with that. But how is the whole damn pass incomplete? If you stretched your arms out to catch the ball, pulled it in once you caught it, and then stretched again while your knee was down, you were still down at the half-yard line. Why is it an incomplete pass? Why? Because some idiotic NFL senior vice president of officiating wants to explain it. Hello, everyone. This is Al Riveron. Just wanted to review a play that happened in the very exciting New England Patriots-Pittsburgh Steelers game today. As we can see here, Roethlisberger completes a pass to James. This is this damn person talking to the media after the game. Al Riveron, NFL senior vice president of officiating. No other reason to know him if it were not for these bogus rules. But he starts talking. Big Ben Roethlisberger completes a pass to James. He's willing to acknowledge that. But as the story goes, with the NFL and its competition committee, of which Mike Tomlin is a member, invented the idiotic survive the ground rule, the same one applied in the Des Bryant debacle in Green Bay a few years back. And it buried the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday. And here's my thing. As disgusted as I am with this, what I'm really disgusted about is the fact that this ain't the reason the Steelers lost this game. We want to act like it is. But you know what? I'm holding a bunch of people accountable, namely Sean Davis, safety. Yeah, he's filling in for Ryan Shazier, who obviously had that bad injury a couple of weeks ago and was battling paralysis, but spinal injury rather, and he's doing fine. He was at the game yesterday, and it was great to see him. Steelers had a 17-10 halftime lead. They had a 24-19 lead with 2 minutes left. And then all of a sudden, Tom Brady goes to work. 2 minutes and 6 seconds left. All you got to do is stop him from getting to the end zone. A 26-yard hookup to Rob Gronkowski. Another 26-yard hookup to Rob Gronkowski. Another 17-yard hookup to Gronk. Dion Lewis ultimately runs in for a touchdown after 3 completions for 68 yards to the most obvious target. I mean, Stevie Wonder could have seen Gronkowski. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. And then after that, once they scored a touchdown, Gronk again, shoving aside Sean Davis, like the article said, like a mosquito, for the 2-point conversion. How do you let Rob Gronkowski beat you on 4 separate occasions in the same damn drive? How? I'll tell you how. Because Tom Brady said, let the big boys handle this, y'all. We got this. And he abused the Steelers secondary like they always do. And lo and behold, this is what you have. Another loss by the Pittsburgh Steelers at the hands of Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, who have now won 8 of the last 10 contests. And now, in all likelihood, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Foxborough. And just like that, Super Bowl aspirations for the Pittsburgh Steelers have gone officially out the window, as far as I'm concerned. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. I got a special announcement to make in a couple of minutes. It ain't pleasant, but it's appropriate. News coming out of ESPN headquarters is something that I will touch on in a minute. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show.
Want to be a part of the show? It's Stephen A. Up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
I
just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
15 minutes past hour number one back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. I'll get back into the Pittsburgh Steelers, New England Patriots game in a minute. Obviously, I thought it should have been a touchdown. He penetrated the goal line, and as far as I'm concerned, there wasn't conclusive evidence to overturn the original call, which was a touchdown on the play. I do understand that even though his knee was down, he wasn't touched. I get that too. But I'm just saying, split the baby in half. I guess that's the way I was thinking. But overall, I'm just so disappointed. Big Ben Roethlisberger, you don't know not to throw that pass? Throw an out pattern. That way, an interception ain't possible. It's either going to be a touchdown or it's going to be an incomplete pass. You could tie the game and send it into overtime, as opposed to throwing it over the middle, a la Russell Wilson in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I'm just so disgusted. Big Ben Roethlisberger played a great game up until that point, and it's a disappointing situation. Disappointing decision on his part. He wasn't on the same page with Mike Tomlin. And because he wasn't on the same page as Mike Tomlin, he wanted to spike the ball. Mike Tomlin wanted them to run a play. And he followed Todd Haley's orders via, that was conveyed to him by Mike Tomlin. And what ended up happening is that Eli Rogers was the only one running a route. Everybody else was standing still. And the entire Patriots secondary got to collapse on Eli Rogers, which is why the ball got tipped. And ultimately intercepted. I'm just disgusted. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Before I go to the phones, no way to avoid this particular subject. John Skipper, president for ESPN, abruptly stepped down this morning, citing substance abuse. To read from his statement today, he says, "Today I resign from my duties as president of ESPN. I've had a wonderful career at the Walt Disney Company and I'm grateful for the many opportunities and friendships. I've struggled for many years with a substance addiction. I've decided that the most important thing I can do right now is to take care of my problem." End quote. George Bodenheimer, John Skipper's predecessor at ESPN, who was president from 1998 to 2011, will take over as the acting chairman of the company for the next 90 days. There's nothing positive to peel from this. What I can say on behalf of this show and no one else, just this show, is that I can assure you over the next 90 days, we're going to be in good hands because it doesn't get much better than George Bodenheimer. A phenomenal man, a phenomenal leader, somebody that I've known for many, many years, who's as good as they come, not just as a professional and a leader, but as a person. One of the great, great people that I've ever met in my life. And people will rally around his leadership quick, fast, and in a hurry, even if it's just for 90 days. George Bodenheimer is a special man. And so for anybody wondering about instability at this place, you don't know enough about George Bodenheimer then, because that's the least of your concerns with him at the helm. Having said all of that, my heart goes out to John Skipper and his family. I've been around John Skipper for many years. I know him. We've had dinner together many times. We've talked on many occasions. He was our president. He's our leader. I never saw anything like this. Never once was I with him and noticed any kind of issue whatsoever. If he says it's an issue, it's an issue. I never saw it. But my heart goes out to him. I know how much he loved this company. I know how much he loved his job. And to reach this point where he has to make such a profound career and life-altering decision for himself and his family is beyond unimaginable. And All I could say is that I sit here and I speak as not just a now former employee of his, but as a friend. He has always been good to me. And you got to remember, I'm a guy that has been suspended by this man. And I did not agree with this suspension. I am a guy that was let go by the company under his stewardship. And I can tell you, despite those things, never once did I look at him and feel anything less than what I'm expressing right now. He's a great man who cares about a lot of people. Heart's always in the right place. Constantly strive to do the right things. Whether you agree or disagree with him, you can never question where his heart lied. And I'm really, really saddened for him. It's a devastating day for us at ESPN, particularly those of us who knew him personally, because you can't find anybody that will tell you he was anything less than good to you if you had to deal with him. He was a really, really good man. Still alive, and hopefully whatever struggles he's having, he will overcome them quick, fast, and in a hurry. But we wish him nothing but the best. We lost a good man at the company today. A really, really good man. My heart goes out to him, and I wish him nothing but the best. And I'll be around if he ever needs me for anything. That I can tell you. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. To the phones we go. Let's go to Chris in Manhattan. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Good afternoon. Thank you for taking my call. First and foremost, my best wishes and prayers go out to Mr. Skipper. And yes, he's going to need your support. Now, as I said to your producer, sometimes, man, when they go to review on specifically catch plays, it reminds me of big fights that go to the scorecard. I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm almost kind of sick of it because it's like your eyes are telling you one thing, then you get 5 minutes, and then the ruling is something different. But Stephen A., you just pointed to the biggest thing in all of this. How is it that you don't come out with 3 points? You got to come out with 3 points there, brother.
You got to blame one person for that. That's Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, I'm like this.
There's no reason to throw that past. There's no reason to throw that pass.
He's bracketed.
And Mike Tomlin wanted you to run a play as opposed to spiking the ball. We don't know if he called that play. And if you're Big Ben, you're experienced enough, savvy enough, accomplished enough where you know better than trying to make that play.
You're throwing into the almost quadruple coverage. As you
yes.
said, only one person went out in a route. Throw it away. All right, we're still playing. Okay, and we've got a heck of a matchup. But man, I don't know, man. That was almost on some cowboy stuff right there. That was just bad, bro.
I got you. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. 866-729-3776. 866-SAY-ESPN. Back with your calls in a minute, man. I guess my man Ryan Clark eventually will be on the show. He's got some explaining to do his damn self. I want to talk to him about it. But I'll definitely get back to the calls. Plus, I've got to talk about Mr. Jerry Richardson, the owner for the Carolina Panthers, supposedly in the midst of a controversy of himself. He's selling the team. We'll talk about that and the relevancy of that and then some in just a minute. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
One of the things that I constantly preach about on this show, I'm all about fairness. Marvin Lewis made news because ESPN reported that Marvin Lewis is going to step down at the end of the season and explore other opportunities as head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. He's going to step down. Post-game, Marvin Lewis categorically denied any legitimacy to the reports, said no such decision has been made, that it's false, that even though he hasn't reached agreement on a contract extension, his situation will be explored at the end of the season. No decisions have been made as of yet. I am a black man who unapologetically speaks up on behalf of a plethora of issues pertaining to African Americans. opportunities, lack thereof, etc., etc. I am also somebody who prides myself on being fair, no matter the circumstances. And I am somebody who has religiously called for the firing of Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis should have been gone years ago. It is an atrocity that Marvin Lewis is in any kind of position to make a decision about his own future in Cincinnati. This year will mark the 15th year he has been the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. He has never won a playoff game. How in God's name can anybody worth their salt call out any other coach out there if you award this alarming level of ineptitude as a head coach? You can't win a playoff game in 15 years and still there's no change. That is disgraceful. Marvin Lewis needs to go. And he doesn't need to go of his own volition. He needs to be kicked out the door. And maybe you could find another Mike Tomlin or another Ron Rivera or somebody along those lines. That's right, I said it. Why? Because since Marvin Lewis was hired as head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals in 2003, ladies and gentlemen, there have been 96 head coaches, 96 new head coaches in the National Football League since 2003. 14 of them have been African American. So I'm not trying to deny the Sean McVays or the Sean McDermotts of opportunities, because this year was fair, because Vance Joseph and Anthony Lynn both got their opportunities as well as African Americans. And damn it, if they ain't getting the job done, I'll call for them to go. But Marvin Lewis needs to go. That's point number one. Point number two, Jerry Richardson, owner for the Carolina Panthers, was in the news this weekend. And come to find out, courtesy of Sports Illustrated, right before the games began yesterday, there have been settlement payouts to at least 4 individuals that have worked for the Carolina Panthers organization, ranging from sexual misconduct to racial animus and racial verbiage. As a result, Jerry Richardson has decided that he's going to sell the team. He owns a 48% stake in the team. He's the majority owner. And there's a plethora of other businessmen in Charlotte who share an ownership of the team. Collaboratively, they own about 52%. But he's the majority owner. He himself owns 48%. In the early 90s, he purchased the Carolina Panthers franchise for $206 million. According to Forbes, they're now worth $2.3 billion. A few years ago, they reached an agreement with the city of Charlotte to keep the team in town. A 6-year hard tethered agreement is what they called it, that would keep the team in Charlotte through next season, the 2018-2019 season. But they got $87.5 million of local taxpayer dollars. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with what goes on in Charlotte, remember, that's the Bible Belt. And the kind of things that would be tolerated in, dare I say, more progressive confines and environments, the New Yorks and LAs of the world, Bible Belt don't play that. Not even a little bit. And so what they wouldn't tolerate from players, they damn sure ain't going to tolerate from an 81-year-old owner in Jerry Richardson, even if he does happen to be 81 years of age and white. They ain't having it. He probably knows it, which is why he's willing to get out of Dodge by selling the team. And he's going to make a boatload of money in the process. Here's my issue with it. If it were not for Sports Illustrated, we don't know what kind of trouble he was in. All we were hearing is that there was an investigation of Jerry Richardson that was going to be conducted by the NFL. That's all we were hearing. This is the problem with our society. So if it was a 20 or 22 or a 25-year-old young athlete, white or black, we would have had their face plastered across the screen based purely on allegations. But when it came to Jerry Richardson, an 81-year-old man who sounded like a damn pervert based on the reports once Sports Illustrated came out, what rakes my damn nerves, we wouldn't have heard anything if it wasn't for Sports Illustrated. If it were a player, we would have said, oh, Look at what he's been accused of. But the owner, we get to shield him. He's the grown-up. 81 damn years old. When stuff was going on, he was in his 70s. But we want to give him a pass. And we don't want to report that in terms of details. But young men, yes, most of whom African American, we'd have had their faces plastered on TV like damn mugshots. But a grown-up gets a pass. Sound familiar? Presidential election, hint. Sound familiar? Well, we'll sit here and we'll hold youngsters accountable. But we'll give grown men a pass who are in significant positions of power. When will our shame reach its apex? When will that day occur? I really want to know. 866-729-3776. That's 866-SAY-ESPN. Living in a society where we'll hold kids more accountable than we hold grown men in positions of power. Thank God for Sports Illustrated yesterday. We'd still be wondering what the hell was Jerry Richardson accused of. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Give Stephen A. a piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it. Everybody pay attention, please. The most important gift you can give this holiday is a Zeepa, because the gift of quiet, restful sleep is priceless. Go to Zeepa.com, that's ZYPPAH.com, and check out the holiday special. If you've ever flown a red eye with snorers, if you've ever stayed in a hotel with a snorer, if you have relatives staying over during the holidays that snore, then you know what I'm talking about. Snoring is not sleeping. Snoring is rude, it's disrespectful, and embarrassing, especially if you're dating. Can you imagine if you're invited to someone's home, you pass out and start snoring? That's why you need a Zeepa right now. Go to Zeepa.com. That's ZYPPAH.com. I've been using Zeepa, and that's why I'm telling you about it now. It changed my life, and I'm betting it'll change yours. So go to Zeepa.com, please, and check out the holiday special. Get a Zeepa and look forward to silent nights all year long. Back to the phones we go before Ryan Clark, former Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, comes on the show right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Congratulations again to the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, it was stunning what they did to the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. It was stunning. And Earl Thomas saying what he said about Bobby Wagner, I didn't have any problem with it. It wasn't like he was disrespecting the brother. He's just saying he was really, really hurt. He should have took himself out because he's hurt. Not that he couldn't play. When Bobby Wagner's healthy, he's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. But he wasn't healthy yesterday. That hamstring was bothering him. And with KJ Wright and Cliff Avril and Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor all out, Seattle was anything but the Legion of Boom. Good Lord have mercy what the Los Angeles Rams did to them yesterday. And it's time to just stand up and respect them and give them props, because I never thought that they would deserve it to this degree. But I got to tell you, Todd Gurley is spectacular. Jared Goff is no joke. And this defense is filled with a bunch of rough riders. Okay, led by Donald and Quinn and the crew. They are special. Something special is happening in Los Angeles. I have to admit it. It's just time to give them props. But back to the phones we go at 866-SAY-ESPN. Let's go to Carlton in Tampa. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, buddy? Happy holidays to you and yours, by the way. Before I say anything else, wishing you and yours a very wonderful holiday season, my brother.
Likewise to you, my friend. You are hereby excommunicated from the Steeler family here when you suggest that they got no chance. Max and Ryan Clark are 100% right. When you look at that game, every single thing had to go the Patriots' way for them to win that game. And despite the fact that they didn't have Hayden and they didn't have Antonio Brown for the vast majority of the game, you should be optimistic that as long as the weather is not horrible, they will be able to go into Gillette if they have to.
Let me pause you right there for a second. First of all, I'm not disputing what Max, Ryan Clark, or even you are saying in terms of what we saw last night and the disparity in the level of talent. I get that. My frustration is from the fact that no matter what the situation is with the Steelers against the Patriots seemingly always find a way to win against them. And so if you do that at Heinz Field, I have no reason to be hopeful about you being able to go to Foxborough and changing course. That's all that is, Carlton. There's nothing more than that.
Well, Mike Mitchell, who was supposed to be double teaming Gronk, decided he was going to be 20 yards downfield and have a picnic before Gronk even got to him. He's making the tackle, after Gronk runs by Davis, but he's not within 10 yards of Gronkowski on 3 of the 4 catches that Gronkowski made on that last drive, including the 2-point conversion. So they need to get him into the field of play. That solves your main issue with the fact that the Steelers look like a sieve on that last Patriots drive. But here's the thing that I hate to say, and I gotta give Max credit. He is 100% right that Jesse James scored a touchdown. And I'm going to tell you who knows that.
Well, we all know that.
Mike Pereira and Dean Blandino both know that, even though they're saying the opposite of it. And the reason why I know they know that is because they correctly came to that same conclusion in the Safarian-Jenkins Jets play against the Patriots when they said both Corrente, the official in that game, and Riveron, the current head of the NFL officials in New York City, got the call wrong. It's the exact same set of circumstances. I have the rule, Stephen. I researched this ad nauseum several weeks ago when they stole the game from the Jets.
But my dispute with Max wasn't that he's wrong, is that he's Captain Obvious. You understand? He wants to take every side of an argument.
People think that they got the rule right with this play to the ground thing. They got the rule. They got it wrong. They got it wrong. No, I'm telling you, by the rule book, it's a touchdown. Let me explain to you how that's the case. To catch a pass, you need secure control. And by the way, anybody can look this up. It's Rule 8, Section 1, Article 3, Item 1 in the NFL rulebook. You can get it online. Everybody can go get it online right now. Rule 8, Section 1, Article 3, Item 1. Okay? Once Jesse James secured control of the ball in his hands prior to the ball touching the ground, okay? And he touches the ground inbounds with either both feet or any other part of his body other than his hands, okay? Well, then possession has been maintained, and now the only thing he has to do to establish himself as a runner, not a pass catcher, is one of 4 things. And this is, again, in Article 3. He has to be capable of avoiding or warding off impending contact. I'm going to say no on that one. He didn't do that.
All right, I just need you to hurry up.
The ball away. He did. He tucked it away before he extended it over the line.
That's true.
So he turned upfield, which is item 3, or take additional steps. You only need any one of those 4. He had 2 of the 4. He establishes himself as a runner, and then, as soon as he breaks the play into the goal line, it's a touchdown. And I'm telling you, Pereira and Blandino know this, and the reason why they're not saying that today is this is the second time that botched calls have gifted the New England Patriots a game against the rule book in the NFL.
Last question before I let you go real quick because I got to go. Do you compare this to the robbery that took place with Des Bryant against Green Bay a few years ago, a couple of years back?
I'd have to go through and say if Dez completed one of those 4 things that turned him into a runner. If he was a runner, yes, it should have been a catch. If he became a runner, it should have been a catch. If you don't become a runner, then you do have to survive. If you're a pass catcher and you don't do any one of those 4 things, and you've got to survive the ground. But Jesse James established, as crazy as it sounds, because obviously he wasn't on both feet and he can't run, but he could have scurried along the ground, but he actually, by the rule book, established himself as a runner. He didn't have to survive the ground.
I don't know these people that don't believe it's a touchdown. Most people believe it was a touchdown, but in the end, let me tell you something right now. The Steelers, those 3 catches to Gronk, the 2-point conversion to Gronk, the pass by Big Ben Roethlisberger over the middle when when it should have been an out pattern instead of a slant pattern, and him not knowing better. Those contributed to it as well. And that's where my disgust lies, because ultimately the Patriots get gift wrapped again. They luck up. I understand it. It should have been a touchdown. I get it. But the Steelers blew it in their own right on a multitude of occasions, and that's what disgusts me. I got to run, Carlton. Take it easy. Happy holidays. I'm sure I'll talk to you before Christmas. 866-729-3776. 866-SAY-ESPN. Remember, hour number 2 up next. The one and only Ryan Clark will come on the show to explain his continued support for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm not feeling it right now. I'm really not. I'm very disgusted. But I'll talk to Ron in a minute. Hour number 2 up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.
Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show here with you for the next hour over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. Sirius XM style channel 80. Number to call up as always is 866-SAY-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. On the line with us right now. I just don't know what to call him anymore. I mean, you know, he's a friend. He's a good brother. I've grown to really love this man and have profound respect for him. But, you know, when it comes to the Steelers, I just got serious concerns about this dude. I'm talking about our NFL analyst extraordinaire, former Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, this dude, Ryan Clark, is a special dude, but then he comes on First Take. I don't know who the hell he is. What's up, Ryan? What's up, Ryan? How are you, Ryan? What's going on?
Why you say, hey, you can't say my name like that, Steven.
Look, man. Look. First of all, should the play have been a touchdown? Should the play have been a touchdown? Big Ben and Jesse James yesterday.
By the letter of the rule, it is not a touchdown.
By the letter of the rule, it's not a touchdown?
It's not a touchdown.
So when you reviewed the highlights, because I know you saw it live, but then when you saw the replay, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts was when his elbow hit the ground, the ball shifted, and as the ball shifted, he never regained control, and then it was an incomplete pass. He didn't finish through the ground, and that's what we've grown to see is now considered an incomplete pass. It's not a catch. And so did I want it to be a touchdown? Does it look like a touchdown to my eyes? Does he have control? Does he make a football move when he lunges forward? To me, yes. Crosses the plane, yes. But by the letter of the rule, to complete the catch, the ball has to not hit the ground, has to not shift in his hands the way it did. So they got it right.
You know, I'm wondering, I mean, so many people look at that play, Ryan Clark, and they say that's the reason the Steelers lost the game. You know what I think the reason they lost the game? Because
I already know.
Gronkowski, 26-yard reception. Gronkowski, another 26-yard reception. Gronkowski, a 17-yard reception. Gronkowski, a 2-point conversion. I mean, 4 catches in one drive. I mean, I'm so disgusted with this Steelers secondary because they played well all game, and then when it was really, really time, they wet the bed. But I don't hear Ryan Clark saying enough about that. Why?
No, that was definitely a deal. Listen, Gronkowski was the only guy who could beat man-to-man the whole night, and no matter where the defense was playing or who was on them, whether it was Artie Burns, Sean Davis, in man-to-man coverage, that's where Tom Brady was going with the ball. So in that situation, you have to figure something else out. If it's double the star, and what I mean by that, you find a star player, you take a middle-of-the-field robber, and you double that guy. You find ways that it's not one-on-one matchups with Sean Davis and Rob Gronkowski. So I think things could have been changed. I think they could have been helped. But if you look at that way that secondary and defense played through most of the game, which was predominantly man coverage, they played extremely well. There was no Brandon Cooks. There was no Amendola. They held the backs in check for the most part. And so when you look at the game plan, I believe the game plan worked well other than that drive because a great player beat a player that he was better than consistently. Now, going into the next matchup, if they get there, they'll understand that, and they would devise ways to have more bodies around Gronkowski in that type of situation.
We're talking to Ryan Clark, NFL analyst for ESPN, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. I told you I've lost confidence in the Pittsburgh Steelers simply because if you can't find a way to win at Heinz Field when you're clearly the better team with the better personnel, what the hell are you going to do in Foxborough other than do what you've been doing in recent memory, which is lose? Why should I feel any differently about the Steelers' chances against the New England Patriots than I may have felt over the last several years?
Because I do think that this team is actually better. For many years, we were looking on paper and saying that the Pittsburgh Steelers were better, but they were banged up. Le'Veon Bell, hurts were growing. There were so many different things happening. Even with Antonio Brown out of the game last night, the Pittsburgh Steelers were the more talented team. The Pittsburgh Steelers were the more explosive team. And so I think when you look at it in that realm, when you look at it in that space, and understand that this New England Patriots team is not the New England Patriots team we're used to seeing. They're not this explosive offense that can't be stopped. They're not this defense that continuously and consistently keeps good teams out of the end zone. So the Steelers have a chance in Foxborough because they are a team with better personnel this year, Stephen A. And I believe if it comes down to that, if we get into the AFC Championship, you cannot bet against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Keith Butler, the defense coordinator, and Mike Tomlin finding a way to take Gronk out of the equation the same way that Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia do defensively when they're playing a guy like Antonio Brown.
What were your thoughts about Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin / Todd Haley not being on the same page in that final play? Ben wanted to spike. Haley ordered Big Ben to run a play at the behest of Mike Tomlin. What were your thoughts about that?
You know, it's a weird deal. I think it's too much information for us to have, one. I don't think those are things we should even know. The other side of it is it's hard to know what to believe. And in a situation like that, when it's going fast, you would like everybody to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. You heard Ben mention that whoever is in his ear is getting the call from the head man. So if that's what the head man wants, then that should be the page that everyone is on. That confusion didn't cause an interception. That confusion didn't choose to not throw the ball out of bounds. That confusion didn't choose to throw the ball away, did not forget to choose to throw the ball away when the first window was covered. So they still had an opportunity to kick a field goal. I don't think it's a bad play because if it's not there right away, you can throw it away. Ben admitted that he made a bad throw, an interception in that case, but you would like for everybody to understand if Coach Tomlin's saying don't spike it, that we aren't spiking it.
Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's transition to the NFC because I saw the Rams just run roughshod all over the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle, just blitzed them, just embarrassed them. Is it time to give the Los Angeles Rams the respect that they deserve? Is it Seattle being a shell of what we once thought they were? Or is it a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. It's a combination of the Los Angeles Rams maybe having the most dominant position player in the league in Aaron Donald. Todd Gurley putting himself into the MVP conversation and race. Defensively, the Seattle Seahawks being incredibly banged up. A Bobby Wagner playing on one leg. 2/4 of the Legion of Boom not available. And so when you combine all these things, Chris Averill being out, already with an offensive line that can't protect Russell Wilson and that has no run game, it was a recipe for disaster. I think the thing that you're impressed with is the Rams, in being better, in having more weapons, didn't just go win the game. They went and dominated. And so when you look at this team from where they were last year to go into Seattle, and I don't care if Seattle's not the old Seattle, to go into Seattle and win that way, it says so much about this team and what they can produce if they do have to go on the road in the playoffs.
Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys beat the Oakland Raiders last night. Don't get me started on on Derek Carr making that play that he made. I just don't understand it. But the Cowboys ended up winning the game, and now Ezekiel Elliott is en route. They need help, but there are people that are still holding out hope for this Dallas Cowboys squad. Where do you land on that kind of scenario? I'm thinking about Carolina, New Orleans. I'm thinking about Atlanta, who already beat the Cowboys, but nevertheless, there are people holding out hope for the Cowboys. What are your thoughts?
I mean, the Cowboys, they've given themselves a chance. Dak Prescott took the steps and made the progression he had to do in the time that Ezekiel Elliott was out to give them a split and to give them an opportunity to be in the fight. The NFC is so good, though. If this was an AFC team, we would say that Dallas Cowboys are squarely in the hunt. They would actually be in the playoffs right now, along with the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore Ravens fighting for that wild card spot, but they're not. You have a 10-4 Carolina team who's in the wild card spot. You have a 5-loss Atlanta Falcons team who beat you already. And so even if they win, they're going to need some help. I think they have the team. You know, you play Seattle this week. They're going to have an opportunity to win the games because you don't know what Philadelphia is going to do in that last week. But do the other teams come back to them? I think Atlanta wins tonight against the Buccaneers. They have some NFC South battle down the road, so they have a chance. But it's a long shot to me for them to sneak into that 6th spot.
Last question. What were your thoughts about the whole paper thing with the referee on that first down measurement for Oakland against the Dallas Cowboys? What the hell was that about?
Maybe I'm dumb, but I feel like if the paper can fit their space, at least I don't know. And when you pull the paper out, you let the world know you're confused. I just would have guessed. And so I actually don't like the way it played out and also don't understand it. But, you know, I think it was Gene Tessitore. He felt like that was the way to go. And, hey, we got to go with what the referee says.
Well, here's the deal. The NFL said in a statement just a little while ago that there is nothing that prohibits an NFL referee from using a card to help measure for a first down, but called it very unusual. The league noted it happened in 2013 with referee Bill Vinovich as well. That's their explanation for it, by the way.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that. It is very unusual.
Last question. Chiefs, should they be taken seriously after they shellacked the Los Angeles Chargers the way that they did? Is it time to take the Chiefs seriously again?
The Chiefs defense has come along. I don't know if it was Marcus Peters getting suspended, but the last 2 weeks they've played extremely well. I still don't think that this Chiefs team, even though Kareem Hunt has gotten back into the fold, is better than the top 3 teams, which are the New England Patriots, Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars at this time.
Okay. I'm wondering about you these days, so I'm not going to talk to you any longer. I'm going to give you a break. I'm going to take a week off from you, Ryan Clark. I'll be dealing with you in the days and the weeks to come, but I've been very, very suspect about you, man. I've been very suspect about you, man. Matter of fact, you and I are going to go to a Steelers game together because I got to test your Steelers fandom. I got to check it. I don't know about you these days.
I got you, brother.
Take it easy, man.
All
right, man. The one and only Ryan Clark. You can catch him on NFL Live today on ESPN. Make sure you don't miss it. 866-729-3776, 866-SAY-ESPN. Back with more of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
Catch the Stephen A. Smith Show live on 98.7 ESPN New York, ESPN LA 710, and Sirius XM Channel 80.
You just can't make this stuff up.
Weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern.
Hey girl, have you done something new with your scales? Using new moisturizer? Nice. It really brings out the hazel in your eyes. Oh, hold on. Are you using whitening strips too? Your fangs look good, girl. Really good.
A really charming snake charmer? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Wait, what? Have you been doing Pilates too?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Let's go to James in Jersey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hello?
Yes, talk to me. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I just wanted to talk about the catch again. I understand the rule, and I respect it if you're catching the ball falling out of bounds in the end zone, or even if you're catching the ball extending for a first down. But this guy did everything right. He caught the ball, and his knee hit the ground, and he extended. And I think the goal line should overrule that rule because you're extending toward the goal line. You understand what I mean?
Well, yes, I understand what you mean, but you're talking about you're being altruistic. You're talking about how things should be. I'm telling you how things are. So now that we know how things are, where do you go from there?
Yeah. And then I kind of felt like I was like, man, I felt bad for Des Bryant when I seen him catch the ball. I said, now I know how the Cowboys fans felt, because I'm looking and I'm like, please don't overrule this thing.
Yeah, well, have a nice day, James, because you brought up the Cowboys, and I'm not interested in talking about the Cowboys right now. They're irrelevant to me, and I think they're going to continue to be irrelevant to me because I don't think they're going to the postseason. So that's just where I'm at. That's where I feel about it, and that is that. Before I get back to additional calls, let me say this. I'm in Los Angeles, California today because one of the greatest players in the history of the game of basketball, the National Basketball Association, named Kobe Bryant, is having his jersey retired today. Both of his jerseys. Number 8 that he wore for years and winning 3 back-to-back titles with Shaquille O'Neal and the rest of the crew. And number 24, where he went to 3 NBA Finals, 3 years in a row, won back-to-back titles. Lost one, but won the other 2. Let me say this because it's very, very important that I say this. I'm here on a personal level. Yeah, you'll see me on SportsCenter. You'll probably see me at the game. But it's because of players like Kobe Bryant that people like myself and so many others are where we are in our careers today. There are rarities in every sport. Those special kind of people that were never great just because of their greatness in terms of skill. It's because they never cheated you. Time and time and time again. Injured or healthy. Fatigued or refreshed. In a good mood or ticked off. Happy or sad. At peace or rife with controversy. Kobe Bryant stepped on the court. As a marquee, as a headline, bright lights, big city, no matter where, he showed up. And he gave you all he had. You don't find that every day. You don't find the star that plays like he's broke and starving. You don't find the champion that shows up on the court acting like he hasn't won a damn thing and he's got something to prove. Usually the champions are like, yeah, I'm a champion. I got mine. What y'all got to say? That wasn't Kobe. Kobe won titles and then stepped out on the basketball court. So for the sole express purpose of reminding you why he was a champion and you were not. That was Kobe. And there's been this ongoing debate. Max and I have gone back and forth. Who do you want? Number 8, number 24. Max says number 8 because you know what? Kobe, that young lion with the afro and was, taking the world by storm, was being restricted and held back by the presence of Shaquille O'Neal, but found a way to carve out his niche of greatness along the way. Blah, blah, blah. Can't knock that. He won 3 titles. He scored 81 points with the number 8 jersey. All of those things are true. But for me, it was number 24. It was the young man that matured into a grown-ass man. It was the one that put his legacy on the line because, you know what? He didn't want to be here with Shaq. He didn't want to be his little brother. He wanted to establish his own legacy of greatness. He didn't want to be somebody whose name was consistently and perpetually attached to Shaquille O'Neal forever and a day. He wanted his own identity. And when the challenge was thrusted upon him by Dr. Buss, who decided not to re-up Shaquille O'Neal, not to give Shaquille O'Neal the $100 million at the time that he was looking for, and decided to ship him out to Miami, it was Kobe. Rife with a shrapnel of criticism wherever he went. With skepticism and cynicism that rose to the occasion and reminded everybody, here I come. And then ultimately he adopted the name of Black Mamba. And he won 2 more titles. And he led the league in scoring. And he was a scoring champion. And he was a league MVP. And oh, by the way, the first year without Shaquille O'Neal, no, he didn't have an 81-point game. But you know what he did have? 10-plus games of 50 or more points. The assassin's mentality, devoid of leadership, suddenly became a leader. The one who needed Shaq to win titles, all of a sudden didn't need Shaq at all. That Kobe. And even as his athleticism declined, he developed new pieces to add to his arsenal and elevate himself while always reminding everybody it was about winning. See, the fond moments that I remember most of Kobe were times when he wasn't playing. Like when he was injured and the Lakers were going through a 14-game losing streak and they finally won a game where Swaggy P and the boys were acting like clowns, sitting there clowning for the cameras, and all of this other stuff. Him and Jordan Hill, even Carlos Boozer to a lesser degree. And Jimmy Kimmel showed the footage to Kobe and you saw the frown on Kobe's face. And then afterwards you saw how he had absolutely nothing to say. How he was ticked off. Because you celebrating the end of a 14-game losing streak like you just won a title. Winners aren't just defined by the amount of points they average per game or the quality of defense that they play. Sometimes it's not even just by the outcome. It's the road they traveled towards achieving that outcome that matters. And when you got brothers that's finishing their seasons in April and ain't working out till August, but Kobe playing into June and winning titles, and 2 weeks later he's back on the court because he has something more to prove. That's what made him special. That's why I made sure to travel to be here tonight. Kobe doesn't owe us a damn thing. We owed him the courtesy, the respect, the reverence, and the gratitude to be here for him as he becomes the first player to have 2 jerseys retired in one night. He truly deserves it. And I'm honored to be here on his behalf to celebrate him, as we all should be. 866-SAY-ESPN. More to Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast. Damn it, I mean it!
35 minutes past hour number 2 back here in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get back to the calls. At 866-SAY-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Kurt, in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me. What's up?
Stephen A., my man, you told me to call you back when the Rams got to 10 wins. We're at 10 wins, baby.
You're right. You there. You're there, brother. I have nothing to say. I got to give it to y'all. I didn't see this coming.
Stephen A.
Yeah.
My problem with that catch last night with the Steelers is we see it time and time again when running backs hit the pylon or they hit the goal line, they say the play is immediately dead once it crosses the pylon. So his knee was down, the ball was still in the air, the play should have been automatically dead at that point, whether the ball comes loose after that. It happens all the time.
I agree with you. But you know what the real problem is? They classify, they say that, but in the same breath, they classify a runner different than a receiver. Because the runner, unlike the runner, the receiver has to pass the survive the ground test. You see, whereas the runner don't have to do that. So that's the real problem here. The receiver is treated differently than the running back when it comes to that football touching that goal line.
Can I tell you the stupidest play in the whole NFL, the stupidest rule? When you force the ball all the way down the field and you fumble at the pylon, it never touches the defending team, and they call it a touchback. It happened to Todd Gurley in the win again, and when we lost to Seattle. It happened to Carson Wentz. It happened last night to Derek Carr. How do you reward the other team for allowing you to go all the way down the field? You reward them the ball. That is the stupidest rule I've ever heard in my life.
It is stupid. I got to go, though, Kurt. I appreciate the call, but you have a point there. I can't knock it. Thanks a lot for the call, my man. Let's go to Frank in Jersey. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
How you doing, Steve?
I'm fine, man.
Happy holidays.
You too. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you something. It should have never came down to that Jesse James catch. Even though I know it was a catch, we all know it was a catch. I'm going to ask you something.
I agree.
Before Gronk threw our secondary around like ragdolls and got down the field, what about when the Steelers had the ball with under 3 minutes? And they ran the ball 3 straight times. There's no urgency to try to get a first down to make New England use their timeouts. I didn't understand that.
That was relatively predictable. You have a point there, and that's what gave New England the ball back. But you still had a 5-point lead. It was 2 minutes and 6 seconds left, and the dude, Tom Brady and Gronkowski and those boys, went 80 yards in 70 seconds. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. You got to be able to do better than that if you're a championship team.
Yeah, you're right about that. And that really disgusted me. It's like, why are you running the ball when you show no urgency to try to throw the ball the first or second down to try to get a first down? You decide to run the ball.
Got you.
And then when New England gets the ball back, then they're throwing all receivers around like that. I mean,
like I said, even though they were predictable with the running game, in the end, my biggest issue is giving up 3 big plays in a row to Rob Gronkowski. To me, that's even bigger than anything else you've mentioned. But I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot. Let's go to Ray in the Bronx. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead, Ray.
Hey, Stephen. Look, I can actually say, and I can't always say that you're the most rational person. I wouldn't say that. But at least you don't have any misplaced anger today. The Steelers fans need to stop misplacing their anger. The issue isn't with the call. The refs made the right call. And it's easily distinguishable whether you're a runner who has established possession or you're a pass catcher whose job is to establish possession. He didn't do that last night, so it's not a touchdown. What guys need to be upset with is Ben Roethlisberger, who's maybe the most seasoned veteran in that club, making a mistake like that. Miscommunication between Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger. That's what Steelers fans need to be upset with.
It wasn't a miscommunication, sir. It wasn't a miscommunication. Big Ben Roethlisberger wanted to spike. He was overruled by his coach. What Big Ben Roethlisberger should not have done was throw the damn ball over the middle. If you got to run the play, Mike Tomlin didn't tell him to throw it over the middle. He could have threw it on an out pattern. He didn't have to try to get Eli Rogers, who was being triple covered. You didn't have to throw the ball in that vicinity. You didn't have to do that.
No, agree, Stephen. I made the same argument for Russell Wilson in the call that was made in the goal line. You don't have to throw the ball. You can throw the ball away, in fact. What you can't do is not come out with 0 points. That's what you can't do. And Ben knew that, and he still came out with 0 points. And Stephen A., one more bone to pick with you before I leave. I heard all week about the bad man in Aaron Rodgers. I expected some rush. There was some rush there, but how about we give Tom Brady his just due? Again, fourth quarter, down 8 points.
Oh, will you shut the hell up? Shut the hell up. Who doesn't give Tom Brady credit? The man is the leading candidate for MVP. He's a 5-time Super Bowl champion. He's a league MVP. What are you talking about? Who doesn't give Tom Brady credit? Where you get that from? Who has failed to give Tom Brady credit? Who is that person?
Oh.
Goodbye. Have a nice day. People just call up to be stupid and try to aggravate you. They don't realize it. You don't mind getting cussed out over there. I don't mind giving it to you. I ain't gonna lie.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Let's get back to the phones. 866-SAY-ESPN. Chris in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A. So I have bad service. Not sure if you can hear me or not.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Well, I just wanted to touch on Kobe's retirement tonight. I think obviously he'll go down as one of the best, but it's just the fact that, like you said, he never cheated. He never cheated us Lakers fans, and he'll go down as one of the best. But what I think, Stephen, I know, but people compare LeBron all the time. I feel like LeBron hasn't even surpassed Kobe. I don't think he'll ever get there, but it's not the fact. It's not where the
Your signal's too bad, Chris. It's too bad. You're going in and out. I appreciate the call, but we can't hear you now, so I can't let you continue. But I hear you. You got love for Kobe. Kobe deserves all the praise we gave him. I'm just thankful. I'm thankful for what he gave to the game of basketball. He wasn't perfect, but you know what? He's one of the greatest ever. He's top 10 all time. An assassin. Okay? Excuse me, there's MJ and then him. It ain't MJ and then LeBron. It's MJ and then Kobe. It's the way it is. Period. End of discussion. Let's go back to the phones. Charlie in Queens, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Charlie?
Hey, Stephen A. As always, big fan of the show.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, man. You're live on the air.
Yeah,
you know what? Let me y'all got to be ready when y'all call up to the show. I appreciate the love. I truly am. I'm grateful. Thank you very much. Enough of the pleasantries. You call up. Be ready. Be ready. Give me your points. Let's go. Because there's other callers waiting. What's your point?
So I agree with everything what you said about Marvin Lewis needs to be fired. But my point, another point on he needs to be fired because he's running convict shows, like especially on the defensive side of the ball. Like he's running murderers like Brontez Murphy, who's any moment at any time he's going to headshot everybody.
Time out. Murderers, really? That's where we going? I'm supposed to let you come on national airwaves and call somebody a murderer that's playing in the National Football League? What's Brontez Murphy now? Ray Caruth? Bye. Call up, get it together, and make valid points. Stop this nonsense. You can't call a guy a murderer. Can't do that. You can't. By the way, Sean P. Diddy Combs wants to buy the Carolina Panthers. Just consider it, ladies and gentlemen. It would be nice to see minority ownership within the National Football League. Their little clique. Bring some brothers up in there. They got the group and they can get the money together. Let them happen. Let it happen. Johnny, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick. Go ahead.
Yo, what up, Stephen A.? Hey, got a point with, it's pretty aggravating that everybody's being so disrespectful to my Detroit Lions, who's 8-6, and everybody's talking about the Cowboys.
I know you better use your own voice and stop trying to imitate me. I know that much.
but that's my first point. But my second one is last night's game. I think you jinxed your Steelers, man, because they kind of turn into the Cowboys, the accident waiting to happen every time they face the Pats. And Big Ben turns into Big Ben Roethlisberger.
I got you. I appreciate the call. You called up there to say that, that's what you think when it's obvious what happened. All right, congratulations. Sounded great, okay? Let's go to Darren. You're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is, why isn't anybody discussing why Pittsburgh played not to lose that 3 minute when they had the ball with 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden they played a win at the end.
Very valid point. A caller called up about 3 calls ago, and he mentioned that. That's a very valid point, but my biggest issue is that you still had a 24-19 lead. Your defense was playing well up to that point, and then you allow Rob Gronkowski to just go ballistic on you. 3 consecutive pass catches. This guy is unbelievable, and plus a 2-point conversion. I'm just discussing. They traveled 80 yards in 70 seconds. 80 yards in 70 seconds with the game on the line.
But can you trust your defense and not play to win? And
Evidently not.
I know.
I guess they were going by what they saw. Throughout the game because Rob Gronkowski was pretty much held in check up until that point. But then he went ballistic because Shazier is not there, and Sean Davis, you were relying upon him, and he got schooled. Gary in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. What's up, Gary? Real quick, go ahead.
Hey, Stephen, listen, I just had a few questions. You and a few other Knicks, when Carmelo came back to New York, put on your Instagram saying, you need to respect him. I'm a little bit confused of what we need to respect Carmelo for. He did nothing for New York.
First of all, I don't want to hear that. Don't tell me about friendship and all of that stuff. It didn't stop me from calling him out. It didn't stop me from saying he needed to be traded. It didn't stop me from saying when he played like trash that I called it playing like trash. I don't want to hear that. And I've got too much credibility when it comes to calling cats out to listen to that stuff from nonsensical callers. If you play like garbage, I say you play like garbage. I don't give a damn what our relationship is. We ain't exchanging Christmas gifts or having Thanksgiving dinner together. If you play like garbage, I get paid to say that's how you played. Now, in the case of Carmelo Anthony, he averaged nearly 25 a game. I look at the New York Knicks organization as being a damn virus half the time. They contaminate you at every turn, okay? And no matter what's going on in your life, nothing good's going to happen when you've been associated with the New York Knicks in the James Dolan era. That's what I look at it as. I look at Carmelo Anthony. Sure, he had his limitations, just like Allen Iverson had his limitations. But I watched Larry Brown and Billy King come up in there in Philadelphia, led by Pat Croce, who was the president of the franchise. And what they did was they built a bunch of parts around Allen Iverson and made sure that you took advantage of his attributes and you covered up his deficiencies. How come the New York Knicks couldn't do that? How come they couldn't do that for Carmelo Anthony? That's what I look at. It ain't always about the perfect player. It ain't always about the player having certain attributes. Sometimes you got to take their strength and say, okay, what do I need to build around them? You think Kobe didn't like shooting the ball, but Kobe was an assassin that got it done, and what you did was made sure the supplementary parts around him fit. And the New York Knicks never did that for Carmelo Anthony. And that is why, and plus he still wanted to stay regardless of how inept this franchise had been historically. That's why you showed them love. He got some boos too, but the appropriate amount of applause were extended to him, and that is that. Have a nice day, Gary. I'll be back in 22 hours. Y'all annoyed me, but Kobe's going to cheer me up when I watch him celebrate it tonight. Until then, 22 hours from now, peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.